You sons of bitches know what time it is. It is spooky season, which gives me an excuse to post more horror-related content. This year, we're going to be kicking off the spooky season with a new costume overhaul, similar to my Scream upload, this time being a Terrifier 2 Art the Clown costume, which I purchased from Party City. So initially, when looking, I saw this costume and thought that the sculpt on the mask was something pretty easy to work with. I really love the sculpt to this costume. I think for the price, you're really getting a good quality mask with it. So the costume, on the other hand, comes very cheaply bloodied, same with the mask. And as well as the costume, I also got some cheap white gloves, same from Party City, to go with it. It was also a cool surprise to find that the flimsy misshaped hat is actually detachable, so you can actually get a new one, or you can fix it if it's even possible, because these things come absolutely squished in the packaging and there's really no saving them. Anywho, as you can see, Art the Clown here looks really great on my display with some of my other favorite slashers. As this video progresses, you'll probably see my room become a little more spooky dooky for the Halloween season, so don't mind that. And here is how the mask looks on me before I do anything. Again, I really think this mask is a great canvas to work with, and I went ahead and tried on the costume. And as you can see, it's a little bit baggy, but it still looks pretty cool for a store-bought costume, so no complaints. Other than the fabric itself, it's very, I don't know how to explain it, like thread-like, I don't know, it's very cheap. I do like the zipper on the back, which is pretty cool, but as far as the costume goes, that's really it. I'm not a huge fan, but still a good costume. So for the repaint, I went ahead and bought all the paints and paint remover from Walmart for pretty cheap. And I tried removing the blood on the mask with some nail polish remover, but it was being way too stubborn. So I said fuck it and ended up painting over the blood since it wasn't really a huge deal. I'm going back to paint the blood again later, just with more realistic looking blood. But next is for the paint and latex. I just kind of eyeball everything. I'm not a huge fan of measuring. I painted a few Michael Myers masks in the past, and I'm most definitely not claiming to be good at it. So before I hear it in the comments, I'm just doing it how I'm used to. I don't really care. It's fine. The only question I do have for anyone that knows is that when painting these masks, sometimes I get these little air bubbles. I'm not sure if it's because I'm putting too much paint on at the same time, or it's just the wrong amount of latex to paint ratio. Not sure. If anyone knows, just let me know in the comments. But anyways, if you're gonna try and do this, I'd recommend taping the fabric back around the mask just so it's not in the way while you paint. I did it at first just so it wouldn't be in the way, like I said. And the main objective here is just to paint the whole mask a blank white. So the later layers, I really just focus on whitening the bloody parts and the black parts of the mask. Now that this guy is looking nice and blank, we can now go back in and do the black detail work very slowly and very carefully. I think this mask looks pretty badass, even especially for like a store-bought product, but I'm mainly repainting it just because the blood, again, it looked kind of cheaply painted on. And you know, I just have that perfectionist, you know, I want to make it like a really good looking horror prop, especially with that sculpt, man. But the black detail work was really badly airbrushed. I mean, the airbrush does look kind of cool, but it was just painted outside of the lines of the sculpt, which is really aggravating. You know, so even on the eyebrows and the mouth, it was the same deal. So we're gonna go back to the mouth later. We're just gonna paint over the lips. We're gonna completely redo the teeth and everything. But here's a good look on how the unbloodied mask is looking. And I gotta say, really digging it. I think the balaclava around the sculpt is too loose, so we're gonna have to fix that later. But here's a quick before and after, and although this guy had much more detail before with the crappy airbrushing, we still have a really good clean painted base to work with now. So I ended up buying the Spirit Halloween costume since I plan on using this to display this guy later on. And when I got it, I already knew that the mask was absolute dog shit. Here's how the costume looks out of the packaging, and I have to say that the material looks like an upgrade compared to the feel of the Party City costume. This costume has its pros and cons when comparing the two, and I already noticed, aside from this abomination, that there are tiny Velcro squares instead of a zipper like the Party City one has. Not a deal breaker with this costume, but I'm just nitpicking at this point because what else am I going to talk to you guys for over 10 minutes? I really do like how this costume comes with a separate neck piece and balaclava that both fit nice and snug. Now this is already an upgrade compared to the looser neck piece and already sewed on balaclava from Party City. The gloves are also included with this one, and they are accurate to the movie with the vertical lines and the snip fingers. And here's me goofing off because I have nothing better to do on my break from work. And lastly, here's a complete costume. I really do like the costume, but again, not a huge fan of the mask. And again, the Velcro on the back, which isn't a huge deal, but whatever. Since I have my clean painted mask, I decided to show you guys a quick comparison of the two, and the difference is actually night and day. Anywho, let's toss this the hell out of here and combine these. Now, I think this combination works the best, especially with the white balaclava on. It looks really sick compared to before, and since I managed to get my hands on a second mask from Party City, I will definitely be keeping this one blank, and I will continue to bloody up the other one. And what I did to display this was I really just got one of those cheap styrofoam heads from a craft store and just called it a day. Alright, so I really want these masks to pop out, so I bought some cheap eyes from Amazon and tried to save them into the mask to see how it would end up looking. And again, these eyes really help the sculpt have this like wide-eyed look, which looks really freaky on display. So I'm really excited on how that came out. But next, what we're gonna do is open this pack of fake teeth that I bought from Amazon as well. And from this point forward, as far as the teeth are concerned, I have absolutely no idea what the fuck I'm doing. So I really just decided to trust the process and wing it. So what I did to start was align the teeth on some Milliput putty, which I plastic wrapped the foam head with, and it came out really funny looking. It came out way too straight when teeth should have a natural curve to them. So I'd recommend, if you're gonna try this out, really just group the teeth together like within pairs and then attach them together afterwards in that arc shape. That's what I ended up going back to do. So I started doing a lot of work off camera just so this video wouldn't be 20 hours long, but here's what the result looks like after I did some work to it. And now I'm just gonna start sculpting on the gums. Now I don't really have crazy sculpting experience outside of the Mayfix Spider-Man stuff I did, if you guys have seen those. But anywho, what I started to do was I just kind of aligned some putty or clay along the edge of the gum, and then I went back in with really thin rolls of the Milliput and just aligned it around the teeth, so it kind of gives it like a 3D look. And then I just kind of merged them together with some water and smoothed it down. Another thing I did was I used the same sculpting tool that you guys see me holding, and I took the base of it and just kind of press it in between each tooth, so it kind of gives the gums that like ridged look, just to make it more realistic looking.
folks have tried to lock their door, but that gets a goblin good and sore. He might come back when it's real late and fly away with your fingerprints.
Alright, so here's how these guys are looking, and I am really impressed with myself on sculpting these. So all I did next was paint them pink by mixing some red and some white paint, and now they started to take shape, looking like actual teeth. And then I went in and did multiple black washes, and I wanted this thing to look nasty and gross and rotten. And the teeth came out a little dark for my liking, but I think it looks good, and we will make the next set for the clean mask look a little brighter. We're gonna do that in the next video, but next what we're gonna do is work on some blood. So for the blood, I went online and ordered some polymer blood from the monster makers, and what I did was I got some aged and some fresh blood. Now, I went and tested these beforehand, and they came out looking pretty nice, so I just decided to give it a shot. So at first, I used a little toothbrush and a glove, because this stuff will stain your skin, so just be careful with that. But what I did was I used the toothbrush and kind of flicked my finger on it, and it just created a little blood splatter on the mask. So it's very subtle, but it is there. And what I continued to do was I just got these little tubes that had applicator heads, and I just started pouring a bunch of blood on it. And initially I was just gonna go for my own look, but I actually found a reference picture from Terrifier 2 and tried to recreate that as best as I can. Especially this being my first time using this fake blood, but I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And this blood, man, looks super realistic compared to how this guy was looking before. And yeah, I just use a little sponge to kind of blot the paint around spots that weren't just drops, spots that are smeared. And all this was just kind of trial and error, but at the end of the day, you just gotta say fuck it and do what works. Another thing I ended up doing was I just kind of tried to put blood in some areas that were very close between the fabric and the latex, on the fabric side. So just continuing the pattern of blood in certain areas just so that it all makes sense. And I really did want a lot of this to dry so that it looks like it's still wet, with the droplets at the bottom, and it did exactly that and turned out great. While this plays in the background, I will say I went ahead after this and cut out the mouth using a pair of scissors, and all I really did after that was just kind of clean it up with a felt tip on a Dremel, and I just repainted the black part of the mouth just so it all matched. If you guys are liking how these rehauls are coming out, I will leave my Instagram link in the comments, and for those who are interested, I am open for commission work. Here's how the blood ended up drying on the mask, and this looks way more brutal compared to before. And here we go, taking a look at how he looks next to the clean mask. So we're gonna be doing more with that guy in the next video, like I said, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, now we can move on to the mouth, and I'll show you what I did next. So I'm just gonna unmask this guy so you can see how I absolutely massacred the foam head. I cut out slots for the eyes and mouth and painted them black, and this thing by itself looks like a haunted house prop as is. As I said before, I just cut out the mouth on the mask and put it over the head to display it properly. Now this mask came out better than I expected and does indeed look terrifying on display next to the other slashers. So what I got planned for the next video is to actually make a display body so we could have up for the Halloween season. So if you guys want to see that, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit the noti bell just so you get notified whenever I upload that video. As always, I appreciate you guys for sticking till the end, and stay spooky ookie dookie for this Halloween season. Alright. I know I bash on the Spirit Halloween mask enough in this video. I'll be honest, I don't think it's that bad. You just gotta wear it correctly and just have it on. Who am I fucking kidding? This shit sucks.